Ladies and gentlemen, Minecraft Java Edition 1.17, the Caves and Cliffs update part 1 has been released. If you're interested in all the new things in this version, I have a massive video out on the channel already for all the things that are in this version. But some of you will wonder, what happened to those mega caves? Wasn't there supposed to be bundles in this version? And what about the Sculk Sensor? Well, as the part 1 part of the Caves and Cliffs part 1 name implies, the Caves and Cliffs update was split in 2 parts, and all of those things that I just listed now belong to part 2. However, that doesn't mean that you can't play with it. There is an officially released preview data pack that you can download and create a world with. That will give you, as the name implies, a preview of the new things that are coming in part 2, which is set to release for the holidays at the end of this year. In this video, I'm going to take you through all of the changes, and they are quite big, to the world generation and the brand new caves, as well as the new ore distribution in this version. We'll also be taking a look at the 2 items that are missing from part 1, the bundles and the Sculk Sensor. My name is slicedlime. Come with me on a journey into the magical Caves and Cliffs preview data pack world. And let's start with the world generation. The overworld generation range and build limits have been expanded by 64 blocks up and 64 blocks down, to a new total range of 384 blocks, from -64 to 320. Underground features, structures and caves generate all the way down to -64 in this version. And there are new caves for this cave update. They are called noise caves, and that isn't because noise is somehow related to sound. The noise part of the noise caves is a technical term describing the mathematics behind this generation. There are 3 new types of noise caves. They are cheese caves, spaghetti caves, and noodle caves. I apologize in advance to those of you who will end up hungry from watching this video. Cheese caves are like the holes in Swiss cheese. They are caverns of various sizes, often very large, sometimes turning into mega caves. Spaghetti caves are long and squiggly tunnels, sometimes wide, like tagliatelle pasta. And noodle caves, which are thinner, even squigglier and more claustrophobic variants of the spaghetti caves. Of the 3, these noodle caves do not generate above height 30 in the world, so they won't intersect with the surface. The old cave carvers and canyon carvers still generate as well, combining with the noise caves to form interesting cave systems. As with the carvers, when the noise caves intersect the surface, they form cave entrances. Together with this is a new concept called aquifers. An aquifer is an area with a local water level independent of the sea level. Aquifers are used during world generation to generate bodies of water inside of noise caves. Aquifers that occur below height 0 will sometimes be lava aquifers instead of water aquifers, making for underground lava lakes. For now, for this version, aquifers are only used at height 30 and below. This means all noise caves between height 31 and sea level at height 63 will be flooded with water, and all those noise cave entrances will be lakes. That will be changed further down the line as we continue onwards towards the Caves and Cliffs update part 2. Underground at the bottom of bodies of water, you will now sometimes get magma, so you get some light and some bubble columns for air. Underwater cave carvers and underwater canyons have been removed. In the end, aquifers are going to be used to generate all the water in caves instead. There's a new type of carver as well in this version. It is the crevasse. A crevasse is a very slim but very deep crack. There are changes to the composition of what generates as well. Deep slate no longer generates in blobs near height 0. Instead, all of the stone below height 0 is deep slate, with a randomized transition between heights 8 and 0. The positioning and size of blobs of diorite, andesite and granite have been changed as well. There are fewer splotches and they are larger. However, diorite, andesite and granite and dirt no longer generate below height 0. Tuff has also moved. Tuff now generates sometimes as a blob at heights under height 0. And fossils now range deeper, and when they generate deep underground, they now generate with deep slate diamond ore instead of coal ore in the deep slate layers. With all of these changes to the underground world, the ore distribution has also been completely changed. Different materials are now best mined at different levels. In order to understand fully how this works, you'll need to know some things about random distributions. There are two types of distributions used from this point on. One is a uniform distribution. That means that within the span of height covered by the ore distribution, you're equally likely to find that ore at any height. This is how most ores were generating before. The other distribution is called a symmetric triangular distribution. In mathematical term, that is when you have the most likely occurrence to be at the center of the range and then the likelihood falls linearly towards the edge. That means if you're at the center of the range, then you will be the most likely to find it. If you're halfway to the edge of the range, you'll be half as likely to find it there, and so on. This type of distribution used to be used for lapis ore and ancient debris. This distribution is now much more common. Let's go through and take a look at all of the ore types and where they generate in this version. Note that some of these height ranges will appear to be outside of where you will normally find terrain. That means that there will not be any ores there, of course, right now. But there might be later, especially up in the mountains that will be taller than the current world generation. Those are not available in this version yet, however. Let's start with coal. Coal generates in a uniform distribution between height 136 and the top of the world. It also generates in a triangular distribution between height 0 and 192. The center of that is 96, and it has a 50% chance of being less exposed to air. That means that when a coal ore is trying to generate and it has an air block next to it, it has a 50% chance of just not existing at that location. Iron now generates in a fairly complex manner. It has a triangular distribution at height 128 to above the top of the world. This means iron will be abundant in the peaks of new mountains later on. Iron is also rare, but still exists in another triangle between -24 and 56, and smaller blobs of iron also generate in a uniform distribution between the bottom of the world and height 64, meaning that you will sometimes still be able to find surface iron. The top layer of copper has moved down a little bit. It now generates in a uniform distribution between height 0 and height 63. Gold now generates in a triangular distribution between height -64 and 32. This makes it most abundant at -16, and it also is 50% less exposed to air. Redstone now generates in a uniform distribution between the bottom of the world and height 15. It also has an additional triangle that is centered around the bottom of the world and reaches up to -32. This means that as you go deeper than level 32, you are more and more likely to find redstone going down. Let's talk about diamond. Diamond exists in a triangular distribution below height 16, becoming more and more abundant the deeper you go. 50% of these are less exposed to air, and there's another new type of diamond ore with larger blobs, and these are 70% less exposed to air. Lapis now generates in a triangle distribution between -32 and +32 that makes it centered around height 0, and this distribution is pretty rare. There's also a uniform distribution of lapis between the bottom of the world and height 64. This is more common, but it has a twist. This ore is always hidden. You can only find it by mining it. It will never be exposed to air. And emerald ore now generates in a triangular distribution between height 32 and 480. Now obviously that's beyond the top of the world. Simply this means that emerald will be much more abundant at higher altitudes up in mountains. Another difference is that it now generates in larger ore blobs than one. In addition to this, there's a new concept in this version for ore. It is large ore veins. They are large, rare and snake-like underground ore formations where an ore is mixed in with another type of stone. Copper ore veins form above height 0 and are mixed in with granite. There's also the rare block of raw copper thrown in the mix. Iron ore veins form below height 0 and are mixed with tuff. If you're lucky in these ones, you can also find a block of raw iron. Let's talk about bundles. Since bundles were removed from version 1.17, they cannot be found in the creative inventory. However, you can use the /give command with bundle to get one. When you install the preview data pack, you also get a survival crafting recipe for it. They are crafted from rabbit hides and string. A bundle is an item that can hold other items. As such, it is a container, but it is very different from other containers. A bundle has a maximum capacity of 1 full stack. What is special with it is that it can hold a mixture of items. For instance, you can put half a stack of sand and half a stack of stone in there, or if you will, half a stack of sand and half a stack of ender pearls. Any item that you put in a bundle will take the same proportion of the bundle as they would take of their own stack. If you hold a bundle in your mouse cursor and right click, then you put an item into the bundle. If you hold an item and right click it onto a bundle, it will also put it in. Right clicking a bundle in the inventory will empty one item from the bundle, that is the last item that was put in. You can also use an item in your hand in the world that empties the entire bundle out into the world as items. In your inventory, the bundle fullness is shown using a bar on the icon, and its item count is shown when you hover the bundle. There's also a new tutorial that comes up the first time you use a bundle. Another new item for the next version is the Sculk Sensor. The Sculk Sensor does not have any recipe. The only way to obtain these at the moment is to use a /give command. Sculk Sensors are a new redstone component. They detect vibrations in an 8-block radius around it. Vibration is anything that causes physical motion. However, if you're careful, there are some motions that are undetectable if you sneak, and you can also block vibrations using wool. The sneak-friendly vibrations are walking, falling to the ground, or throwing or shooting projectiles. Like I mentioned, the wool can be used to block the vibration. If a wool block is in the way of the vibration source, the sensor will not be able to detect it. Another exception is that Sculk Sensors will not listen to vibrations that are directly caused by other Sculk Sensors. When a vibration is detected, a signal is sent from the source location to the sensor, and that signal travels at a speed of 1 block per game tick, that is 20 blocks per second. Once a vibration has started traveling towards the Sculk Sensor, other vibrations cannot be detected by that sensor. Once the signal has arrived, the sensor will be activated and output a redstone signal for 2 seconds, that's 40 game ticks. And while that is ongoing, the sensor can also not detect other new vibrations. When activated, a Sculk Sensor will also have a wiggle animation and make a noise. Sculk Sensors can be waterlogged, and that makes them silent. The strength of the redstone signal that a Sculk Sensor outputs when it is activated is inversely proportional to the length that the signal traveled. That is, the further away the source is, the weaker the signal. A signal source right next to the Sculk Sensor gives a power 15 redstone signal, and a signal from the very edge of the detection radius gives a signal strength 1 signal. After a Sculk Sensor has been active, there's a cooldown period of 1 tick before they can detect another signal. This cooldown also applies right after being placed. Vibrations also have a frequency. The frequency can be detected by having a redstone comparator read the Sculk Sensor. Depending on what type of vibration it is, you will get a different strength redstone signal. This is the frequency of that vibration. The current frequencies are 1 for step vibrations, minecarts rolling, 2 for wings flapping, 3 for swimming vibrations, 4 for vibrations caused by elytra, 5 for vibrations when landing after a fall, 6 for making a splash into water, for wolves shaking off water, for bells being rung, and blocks being changed. 7 for projectiles being fired, when a drink has been drunk, or a fuse being primed. 8 for a projectile impacting into a block, a food that has been eaten, a mob being interacted with, or an entity taking damage. 9 for vibrations caused by armor being equipped, from something being sheared, or from a ravager's roar. 10 for a block closing, a button or pressure plate being unpressed, a block detaching, or a lever being turned off. 10 also applies for a dispenser failing to dispense. 11 for quite the opposite, a block being opened, being pressed, attaching, or being turned on. 12 for entities, blocks, and fluids being placed. 13 for entities being killed, blocks being destroyed, or fluids being picked up. 14 for shulkers or containers closing, pistons retracting, or a fishing rod being reeled in. And 15 for shulkers and containers opening, pistons extending, fishing rods being cast, explosions, and lightning strikes. Despite being a redstone component, the Sculk Sensor is also a form of vegetation, somehow. The right tool to mine them is thus the hoe. To end the video, let's talk about some sounds. They are sounds for the Sculk Sensor. You have sounds for walking on them. for breaking them and placing them, their click of activations, and the click when the activation is done. And those were the news in Minecraft Java Edition 1.17 with the Caves and Cliffs preview data pack active. If you want to keep on top of more news like this, then check out any future snapshots as we go towards Minecraft 1.18. The development is going to continue. And of course, if you want to stay informed, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. I make update videos for every new snapshot, pre-release, release candidate, and full release of this game. But that's gonna do it for this time. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did and you want to help me out in return, then please hit that like button, drop a comment down in the comment section, or share the video. All of those things help the video out in the great YouTube algorithm. Anyway, that's it for this time. Thank you so much. My name is slicedlime, and I'll see you next time.